Rooted in resilience, inspired by nature, powered by movement. The podcasts where healing meets empowerment. Let's rise and thrive together. And now, here are your hosts, Scott and Melissa.
Hey, everybody. We just wanted to pop in and let you know about our Sedona Soul Retreat coming up in June of 2026, June 2nd through the 6th in Sedona, Arizona, where we're going to have it at.
The Briar Patch.
This
Beautiful. It's just this amazing little nugget.
Yeah.
In Sedona, where you think the big red rocks, which you'll see those, of course, but then there's this little sanctuary of green. And one of my dear beings that just shared with me this morning that they will be attending, looked it up and was like, "Oh, that's my place."
Yeah.
They just like felt the connection, and it's very spiritual energy there, and we're excited for holding space for all of us to be in that frequency, that vibration.
It's right on Oak Creek, and we were down there just a few weeks ago checking it out to ensure it was the right fit for our folks. And we are excited about this retreat. It's our second retreat, and we're on our way to selling out. So please check it out at Vital Edge Wellness Coaching Wellness Retreats. You'll see it at vitalwellnesscoaching.com, Wellness Retreats, and sign up. Bring a friend. There's plenty of room. If you'd like double occupancy, you can come down, and we have private cottages and a lodge setting. So that's it.
It's exciting.
Enjoy the podcast.
Yeah, we'll see you there. Hello, everyone. So welcome to Rise and Thrive podcast by Vital Edge Wellness. I am Melissa, and this is Scott, and we're here today.
We're here today,
period. With that, we're going to take a moment just to find some ground, and Scott's going to do that for us. So
yeah, today's episode may have a heavier feel to it. I don't know. It does for us. We're going to be talking about the weight of the world and finding lightness in the chaos of the weight of the world. So let's start with just kind of focusing in on our breath. Find yourself in a comfortable position, wherever you may be, standing, sitting, lying down. I'll give you a minute to get settled. And today, if possible, let's sit with your hands facing up in a position to receive. And I want you just to feel your body weight being supported in any position you find yourself in. Fully being held by the chair, the cushion you're sitting on, or the floor you're standing on. Take a nice deep inhale. Let that go. Letting the exhale focus on the relaxation that comes with it naturally. Another deep inhale. Relaxing your facial muscles, your neck muscles, feeling your shoulders drop on the exhale. One more cleansing breath in from the bottom of the lungs. Exhale, 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 completely emptying, more relaxation in the body. And just find your natural rhythm of breath. Find yourself in gratitude for this breath that just works constantly. In the background, your underlying software that keeps everything else running and regulated. When you focus on the breath, you're honoring it. You're giving it the recognition it deserves for keeping you healthy and whole. And then for a moment, I want you to focus on something that you're so grateful for, and inhale that in. Hold it at the top, and then exhale out something that you need to release, just letting it go. Keep doing that for a couple more breaths. I'll watch the time. Inhaling in joy and gratitude. Exhaling release. As we begin to close out our practice today, let's take one more cleansing breath in and out. And when you're ready, you can begin to move your body, open your eyes if they were closed, and bring yourself back into the present moment. And welcome to Vital Edge Wellness Coaching's podcast, Rise and Thrive.
Well done. Yeah.
Thank you. I know from our conversation pre-show that we needed this today.
Yeah. I think it comes from, as I was reflecting as we're preparing for this, I was thinking, everybody that I've held space for today, I got a lot of tabs open. And it just made me think about, I like when you said about the computer connection, I'm like, yeah. And when there's so much going on, we don't realize that behind the scenes, the brain, the subconscious, the nervous system has all got these tabs that's on. And it's like, how do we come into spaces where we notice that and then choose what tabs we want to have open and which ones we need to close?
What happens if you just let those tabs remain open?
Oh my gosh. Well, that's what I saw in my sessions today. It's like one after the other was very similar. And we'll talk about that. I think that's coming in our conversation. The collective that we're feeling right now, this extra pressure, busyness, frequency, all that stuff. But I'm seeing it in each one. I think that's as coaches, as health providers that we are in this way, we're able to meet with people and we see that happening. We say, why is everybody experiencing something similar this week? And so that's what I noticed. It's like, it came to my mind in my first session. I'm like, I got a lot of tabs open in the background. And we start to talk about that because they're wondering why, I don't know why I just feel more stressed, why I'm, and they realized, oh, I got this situation going on over here and this going on over here. I'm not consciously with it all the time, but it's running in the background.
I think human beings, it's been my observation, that human beings are really adept at dealing with the situation. For the most part, we're really adept at dealing with the situation in front of us in the moment. This is broken, I need to fix it. Someone is in need, I need to help them. Without giving too much thought to what's running in the background. And so let's get into it. Let's talk about what's running in the background behind the tabs that we have open. We have a super charged universal energy in the world right now that is affecting civilization in a way that has not been affected in 9,000 years based on my studies and my reading. And people don't know what to do with this. We've got political upheaval. We have acts in the country, our country in the United States, that are not in alignment with our values. We have leaders who have lost their statesman communication. I heard a couple of politicians drop the F-bomb the other day publicly in speeches. We are degrading in so many ways. And at the same time, there can be no degradation doesn't come without a need. And so things are being torn down in order to rebuild. And we don't know as humans how to deal with this because we only deal with what's in front of us. And if the economy is a shit show and we're worried about our retirement account, that becomes our focus. That's one tab. But what's going on in the background for others is they're maybe losing their loss of liberty or their ability to move around freely because they may have an accent or a color of skin. But that's not open on our tabs. It's open on their tabs. But it does affect the whole.
Well, that's what I was going to say. Even though it might not be one of your front tabs, I think it's one of the backgrounding tabs because we're all connected. And so we're feeling that even if we're not directly experiencing it, I think we're feeling it. Even like myself, I'm going to be honest, I avoid a lot of news. I avoid a lot of, I try to hear, if I do hear something, I try to hear it through quality and not other venues. And so that I can take time to sit with it and feel it. And at the same time, I know that I have been feeling the distress of the world without really knowing it. And so I think that's accumulating, as I shared, like I mentioned with my clients I saw today or this whole week, just feeling their heaviness that, yeah. And it's so easy. Like you said, when we're focused on right in front of us, we think, okay, well, I'm on a goal, so I should get better. And every week I should be working on this. Well, yes, we're working towards those things, but ultimately we've got to address the underlying stuff, that how to help your body process the energy that you're picking up on, the frequency of the sadness and heaviness of the world that might be right there, that, we know there are tools and things that we can do to support one another to help these bodies that are picking up that energy and then displaying it through stress and worry and, health showing up, because we're just feeling like, what's wrong with me?
And we're going to get to some
lack of sleep.
We're going to bring you some solutions to navigate this, but we want to stay with these symptoms for a while and talk a little bit more about these layers, because what we just described was kind of the universal energies that are going on in the world. When you then start breaking it down to the actual world, civilization world, and the different factions that are opportunistic leeches who are looking for something to break down so they can then have power, or the ones who are victimized by these world leaders who are using these chaotic times against their people or for themselves. We work really hard not to bring political divide into this podcast, and that's not what I'm talking about. Even though many of you are like, yeah, those thing on those, the right, the left, that's not what I'm talking about here. You can have your own approach to that. I honor that. But what I'm talking about is not party lines. It's the constant human against human. And that further gets broken down into these party lines and us versus them. And I know from my own journey here and my spiritual journey that there is only one solution to all of this, and that's collaboration in humanity. And to some, that's a pipe dream. To me, that's still doable. But I'll go back to what I said earlier. The old structures can't support that. And so they have to come down to open the space to support that kind of collaboration that we need. We have enough food to feed this planet. There should be no one hungry on this planet. We have enough energy. We have enough resources. We always have enough. But depending on what you subscribe to, I'm going back to Melissa's point in a long circle. It's the thing we just read, you and I shared with each other, about the one crop philosophy. If your one crop is Fox News, that's your crop. That's what you're harvesting from. If your one crop is CNN, that's what you're harvesting from. If your one crop is Christianity, that's what you're harvesting from. But the world has so many beautiful crops. The world has so much variety. It all can't be wrong. And so how do you find enough to stay in the crop that you really love and allowing and accepting others' perspectives so that we can heal? And again, we're going to get into some tools in a little bit. I'm just kind of stating the obvious of how everybody feels. And these are the things that I sit with that affect me. As an empath, I feel it very deeply. I'm really sensitive to those energies. And unlike Melissa, I do keep up on the news, but I am really high level. I don't live in it. I don't have the TV on with news. I listen to Apple News headlines. I dive in where I want to learn a little bit more from a variety of sources. I try to keep it really varied in my approach. And I also have my strong feelings against and for, which I won't go into today. I don't want to lose that, but I'm also not going to force that on anyone else.
It's
It's exhausting.
Yeah. And something I want to point out, because it's easy when we hear and feel the heaviness, like Scott and I are feeling today, right now, just in this moment, to think that's what it is every day, all the time. And again, that's the challenge with what we see on our phones, how our algorithms are, what's showing up for us. We all have a different lens that we are soaking in, just as you said, the crop of those things or the crop of your phone.
Or crap.
Or crap. Yes, let's clear that up. At the same time, I think about our deep need for one another and how that happens on a daily basis, that happens in our current world, that was more frequent in the past when we lived in nature more and were part of the earth. Now, because of our separation, I think about when I go for walks and everybody's in their boxes. And sometimes I'm alone going for a walk. There's usually one or two I see, but other than that, everybody's off in their boxes. So I think about, though, to come back around what my point is that each of us are still caring for one another. The majority of us, in the, small gestures. I think about, like, somebody holding a door open for you that you don't know, or just saying hello or smiling when they walk by. That kind of connection to me is us reminding ourselves that the majority of us, humans down to their bone, are good. And, when you said that humanity piece, I was thinking the first word that popped in my mind when you were saying, that collaboration, that humanity, I was like, ultimately, we all want to be seen, heard, and loved and cared for. And that person saying, go ahead, or, can I help you with something? Or at the gym, when somebody puts my weight away without, I don't know them that well, but they put my 45-pound plate away. I'm like, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to make my daughter do that. Those things that, with the heaviness, I guess this could be a tool to start to talk about, but I'm like, I want us not to forget all those things and to look for those every day when you're out and about, and that smile to that person, to remember that we're all here together. And even though the world seems evil and there's some breaking down of this structure, many structures, I've been saying it for a long time because I've been in the health and medical world for quite a while. Most of us all know that we're watching the medical system, how it's a symptom treating thing we're watching that. And it, like everything else, is beginning to go through its breakdown. And it's, yeah, I guess that's where I'm at, is staying connected and remembering those little things, that it goes a long way when you smile at somebody, or they cut you off and you just send them blessings.
Yeah. Well, I think we've talked about the universe and how we're all moving as one towards something. We've talked about the world. That's the civilization I'm talking about, and leaders and communities rapidly changing and growing in some direction. I'm not trying to label anything good or bad right now. And then for me, the next layer is how others perceive us, because we respond and we create these divides depending on how they see us. I don't want to be a part of that. And so therefore, I'm going over here with them. And so we continue to further divide from the universe to the world to now with groups. Then this is where it gets complicated, I think, for many, is we have to look at ourselves. We have our own inner conflicts. In our work, we coach around parts. Which part of you is this coming up for? Which part of you are you ignoring? Which part of you do you need to let go of? So we've got this inner turmoil in us that leads to having inner turmoil with others, that leads to communities and the world, that leads to our energy in the universe and in their direction as a species. It's my belief, deeply held, I believe it. And yet at the root of all of that, we have an inner knowing of what's right.
Mm.
And we would do well to tap into that. I know I have done well tapping into that. It's changed everything about me over the years and years and years. This isn't something I just started Wednesday,
Yeah.
right?
Last week.
I wish it was that easy.
Yeah.
But I guess I'm encouraging everybody to think about it in that process, that we're affected by this macro, sub macro, sub macro,
Mm-hmm.
micro. Can't control any of it, honestly, except for our actions that come from our inner voice.
A response to it.
And if we're not slowing down enough to let that voice come out and stay out of the ego response, and the ego response is really huge right now on the world stage. We have a really egoic leader in this country right now. And it's good in a way because it's showing us what has always been, that ego is the dominant voice in the world. And I want, for me personally, I want mindful thought processes, not self-serving egos, to show leadership.
Yeah, it's funny that you say that because it's in the way you were pointing to your body parts. Teaching that and exploring that with my students right now in yoga, where we're working on the throat chakra, which is like your voice. You think about your voice. And I've been spending the last couple of weeks with them focusing on listening, the aspect of your voice and listening. And we're going to be diving in the weeks to come to not only the aspect of listening to come into your truth, but then being able to speak and respond from presence.
Yeah.
And think of this differently. Like oftentimes when people respond, pardon my hair, when people respond, you'll often see them go up in their heads and not anywhere down in here.
Sure. I do that.
Because it's that intellectual, like I got to respond, I got to solve it. I've got to go into what I know.
I got to know they know I know.
Right. And so it is a practice. This isn't something that we're like shaming the world on. It's like, this is why we do what we do and what we're sharing and coming alongside others that are trying to create this community to support this holistic healing. Because it's like, what does it mean to be able to pause and respond to someone, yourself included, with presence? And I think of like, your third chakra, solar plexus, your authentic self showing up, your truth. And then being able to verbalize that, because we know right now truth is becoming broken down in many ways.
Well, it's becoming distorted depending on where your crop is planted.
Right. And like we were just talking about like Instagram and all that stuff and the algorithms, if you are looking at certain things, you're going to see the things that are going to feed what you want to see. And so you start to believe that or think that way. And then someone else, you come along and you're like, why do you think so differently? Because what they're seeing, and we know the addiction is real with our cell phones and our devices, that then we start to exist as if that is the world we live in.
Mm-hmm.
And so I guess what I'm coming around to again is part of our practices is coming back into the body and really connecting with what is your authentic truth. What is, when I listened to you and I heard you say, I believe, like, for many, I want to know what that feels like to truly believe, because I'm always like very open and I'm like, and it's, to actually really connect with that inner voice and truth, and then being able to feel confident enough and calm enough and still enough to not overspeak or overthink, and be able to let what comes out the mouth come with mindfulness and presence and love. I don't know.
You do know. I think it's really, what the cautionary tale is, It is not easy. And
Hence
there's
the
a lot of
practice.
risk in doing what you described, in speaking your truth from an authentic place, because you risk loss and you will have loss. People will come, people will go, situations will change. And we want to protect what we've got and stay comfortable.
Mm-hmm.
And when you start to speak from that inner voice of being guided toward what's right, I'm not saying the world's version of what's right. I'm talking about what's right for you authentically.
Mm-hmm.
And you truly live in that way. If more people could do that, we would start a different algorithm.
Yeah, I like that.
Right.
Ooh, let's start a wave. Let's start
Like this.
a new algorithm. Yeah, of peace, love, and hope.
And I want to talk a little bit before you go on about your comment about Instagram, because
Instagram,
these
Facebook, social media.
love-hate relationship with social media. I love it and I hate it. And I think it's really important to just say it, that our social media is being fed to us by massive organizations that make massive amounts of money. And it is not us. We are feeding it collectively information, but those folks who run those platforms are doing it for profit. And they're also using all that collective information in ways that we can't begin to understand. And so while I'm loving the puppy videos and I'm liking my spiritual favorite people and I'm following them, all that stuff is being galvanized and being used in other ways.
Mm-hmm.
And you talk about the addiction, which is a whole other podcast. We're going to have an episode on about social media and managing that for your health. But it is really easy to not distance yourself from your phone. I'm not saying that right. It's hard to distance yourself from the phone,
yeah.
right?
You forget, you think you're doing it, and the next thing you know, it's in your hand again.
Well, as I was describing to you, when I have an idea, I want to go right away and look it up and research it. But that's also not healthy, because we need space and time and down, which again, we're going to save that for another episode.
Yes, white space.
We're being influenced. For today's episode, I'm saying we're being influenced, and those algorithms are then being sent back to us and we're being influenced again. Our inner voice never gets an opportunity to come up for air.
Mm-hmm.
We're in our heads, we're in our egos, and that creates stress, more stress than just the worldly things going on that
all your
make us focus.
What's
happening with our children, and what world are we creating? So let's talk about tools as we wrap up, because the tools are going to be similar to some of the other tools you've heard us, if you're a devout follower of this podcast. And by the way, if you don't like this episode and you don't like what we're saying, that's okay too. You can always not follow, or you can agree, or you can not agree. We're not here to cause conflict.
No.
We're not here to stir anything up. We don't want to hear about how we're wrong or how we're right. We just want to put out information. And we always sit and think about what's coming up for us and what could be coming up for others. And this is the topic for today.
Well, that's it, because we work with people and we're seeing it, and we want to share that overall, we built this to build this community of you're not alone. We're in this together as humans to learn how to be human and thrive.
Yeah, and grow. I think the obvious first tool is to slowly try to disconnect more often throughout the day.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, we start with meditation every podcast episode. I personally disconnect in the mornings before I can connect. Not quite, almost. I am the first thing I do is grab my phone. I am. I grab it. I check anything pertinent I need to check, and I put it down again. But even that, I'd like to stop doing. Part of the reason I do that is because I want to set the tone. I want to see what's coming for me for the day. It's important for me to know that before I go into my meditation. Maybe I can change that. But I'm working on that with my people and myself. So find some time to just breathe. And 2 minutes, 5 minutes, 10 minutes can change the whole trajectory of your output for the day. So what's a tool you would suggest based on that?
Well, I want to add to that, because I call it, I've heard it called white space, being able to just take a break. Think about the next time you go on a walk. maybe don't take your phone, or take your phone if you need it for safety purposes. I always think about that, but don't be on it, or don't have your ears plugged in, and just allow yourself some white space, some time for the brain to reboot without added information or that algorithm feeding you again. So I think about creating that in the day, and just even us talking about it, I'm hoping it gives you a little awareness that it just starts to happen. So I was sharing with Scott before this that we've been talking about this, and we brought the awareness up, and the intention is there. And I got some direct feedback, because you know how your phone tells you every week how much time you've been on it? Mine has gone down a little bit. So I'm like, all right, okay. So I would say first thing is, first step is just become aware. If we're not aware that it's always with us and we're always picking it up and we're always on it, then we're like, wait a minute. And we get so attached to it that, like, think about the last time you left the house and you thought you forgot your phone. I mean, you panic for a moment. And back in the day, you never took a phone. I've also found that purposefully setting it down in a place that's out of reach, you do that frequently enough, a little amount of time, like Scott said, just a little bit, you start to feel this freeing sensation. You're untethered to something that keeps tethering you back. So all of the practices we've shared, getting outside, planning, helping your body sync up with not the light of your phone, but the light of the sky, completely will change your tone. And even in the evenings, or, so I was telling Scott too, and I know you do the same, is we get outside as quickly as we can in the morning for a few moments. And it's kind of freaking cold right now. And I go out there in my bare feet while Bailey's doing her business. And I put my feet in the grass, and I take my breaths, because it's cold and I feel it, and I just relax to it, and I just take it in. And we don't realize how much that helps to reset the system when we've been bombarded with going back to all the tabs being open, or, all the stuff we're hearing and feeling and sensing and exposed to. These rituals that bring us back to the human body, the sip of water, the tea without scrolling on your phone, dinner at the table without watching TV or being on your device. I've actually, with my coach, I've been committing to that. That's one of the things I committed to, is getting back to sitting at the table, no device, no TV on, and having dinner with myself. I mean, the dog's there because she's waiting. She's always waiting. She's right down here, by the way.
Pets are great for grounding.
Grounding. Bailey, yes. So get a pet. But Bailey, she'll have dinner with me because she's waiting for any morsel that I will offer. But those are some tools of just like looking at your day right now and becoming aware of where you can have some white space without some input. So you can open up to your own input and your own creativity.
It'll take a while. So be patient.
Yeah.
It's hard to revert to the natural self in the beginning. I'll give you one more tool before we end, and that is be okay being bored.
Yes.
Get back to being bored.
Oh, I got one story. I got to tell him.
Okay.
I got to tell him. So my nephew, he'd come over to Aunt Missy's house and we never had the TV on, very rarely. For a while, when my kids were younger, we didn't have a TV at all for a while. Oh, hi, Mart. Martin's coming in now too. I don't know if that picks up on the cat meowing. And he would come over to Aunt Missy's, and he was little. I can't remember how old he was right now, 2 or 3. And he'd be like, I'm bored. And I looked at him and I'm like, good. That's good. And it took him back, because it's not like he'd had a long lifespan yet to really understand what he was saying. And so he looked at me, and I could see that his light bulb was trying to understand that. And then he realized I made it sound like it was a good thing.
Mm-hmm.
So a couple times later, he's like, Aunt Missy, I'm bored. He was excited to be bored. And I was like, it's all the way we present things or frame it. And being bored, we hear that word. And I remember one retreat too, one more thing. I had this retreat where kind of was trying to navigate another practitioner that was with me, and we were trying to make it all smooth, and it ended up having a lot of downtime as others were. And I told them many times because I would see people just laying there not knowing what to do or like kind of like, and I was like, allow yourself to be bored. And once I gave them that permission and they turned and gave it to themselves, the room lightened up. The stress of like needing to entertain or be entertained. And one person curled up and took a little nap. Another person like went and stared out the window. Like, yeah. I love that. So yes, give yourself some white space and get bored.
Yeah, it's a lost art. For me, I struggle because I have so much going on in my life that I get a case of the shoulds. I should be doing this. I should be doing that. I could be doing this. I could be doing this. Oh, I got an opportunity.
Or
I
I
probably
don't feel
should knock this out.
productive. That's another thing I
But
hear a
that
lot.
just leads to doing, because as I've always said, we are not human doings. We're human beings. So I work really hard to be bored, and I could use more of that in my life as well.
Well, think about it. When you create that, I'm going to say this for my productive people. This will be my last thing.
Sure it will.
People that feel like I got to be productive, because I know there's that feeling like I got laundry to do. I should be doing this while I want you to realize, and just let us help you with this and hear this, is by you taking that time for white space and being bored, you're actually going to get more creative, more joy in your life, and more freedom from all the shoulds and things you think you need to do. It is crazy how that works, but you're tapping into what your intuitive system.
You're built that way.
Your way of being. Your body needs some tabs to be closed, please. And you need to purposely go close them all.
All right. So
okay. I'll be something.
If you would like more support in this, reach out.
We're here for you.
We would be happy to have an initial coaching session with you around this, talk things through, learn how we operate, how we work. But this is what we do for a living. And as humans, we're not always successful at it, honestly. Mm-hmm. When it comes to supporting our clients, however, we're pretty good at it because we're really honest and we know a thing or two about what not to do. And so we can help you avoid that. And then finally, I want to make sure, and I'd be remiss not to mention our retreat. We have between 3 and 5 spots left. You'll see our social media posts say 5, but it just depends on the lodging that's available when people book. So check it out, June 2nd through 6th, Sedona, Arizona. It's going to be a fantastic opportunity to be bored in a very fantastic environment and to get back in touch with yourself and relax and release. So go to our website, vitaledgewellnesscoaching.com/retreats. And again, please don't forget to take care of each other and remember to take care of yourself as well. And we'll see you next time here on Rise and Thrive. Take care, everybody.
Namaste.
Thanks for tuning in to Rise and Thrive, a podcast by Vital Edge Wellness Coaching. If you found this episode meaningful, please rate, review, and share it with someone who might need it. For upcoming retreats and to join the Vital Edge Wellness community, head to vitaledgewellnesscoaching.com. Let's rise and thrive together.